Well, first of all, I have to congratulate you on another amazing album. You did some hell of a great job, you guys, on the Boundless.
Thank you very much.
And I've just realized today I've just received news that you have released a new video for Ascending. Great job on that too. And I'll probably during the interview asking a bunch of questions on the songwriting. However, I would like to start out by asking about the new album in a way that you didn't include vocals this time. I'm not saying it's a bad choice at all. You did some hell of a great job on the previous album, but I also like your instrumental approach, more or less amazing as usual. But I was just wondering, why did you choose not to include any vocals this time?
Since the last album, the last two albums, just like Flood Inside and Trips, was just a lot of guests involved, or people that didn't belong that much to the band, just like Martin was in the band for 2 years, and then Petter was in for Trips. He was just like a guest for us, and now was the time to do an intimate Longest of Calling album, just the four of us, with no influence from the outside, and that was our goal this time.
Absolutely. Do you believe that just writing strictly instrumental music is more challenging in a way of creating melodies, or quite opposite? Catchy melodies, yeah.
For me, it's easier because to write music with just instrumental stuff, because when we play, I get a lot of melodies in my mind and could feel it. It's difficult for me not to play them, because I'm thinking, okay, there is a singer, and I've got I have to take care that there is some space for the singer, and not to fill it with thousands of guitar melodies,
Yes.
So I have to, when there is a singer, I have to hold myself back.
Absolutely.
So this is maybe sometimes more difficult for me than to create a lot of guitar melodies.
Absolutely. So how can I imagine, how did you write this time, guys? Is it the usual process? You're stuck in a practicing room and jamming and building up on each other's ideas?
Mostly, yes. It's like that. It happens that Flo or I just got a lick or something, or a good riff, and show it to the others, and then if it's cool for everybody, we just take it and evolve it, and enrich it with other parts and stuff like that. But mostly it's like we meet in a rehearsal room and just like play for ourselves, and then something happens, and we evolve that.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of spontaneous reaction between all of us, and just like the goal was this time, because Trips was just like a lot of thinking about music and thinking how should this sound, or this part, what should this do, and this time it was just like more inspiring by the song himself, just like, okay, where does the song lead you to play?
Yeah.
Next step.
It sounds
like not talking, not thinking, just like play, and then checking where they are.
Yeah, it might sound as an absolute cliche, but I had from the early beginning, from listening to that album for like 5 weeks already, it seems like going back to the roots, just to the core of the chemistry within you and Flo, and an overall band, and just feeling each other and working on the band's chemistry. That's how I feel about the new album.
Yeah, that's a nice description, because as you were saying, back to the roots, I was just like, oh, no, it is not back to the roots, but in this, the specifics you mentioned, it is back to the roots, exactly. just the four of us, and reacting in between this circle of four dudes. But it's not like, I've read it, sometimes this back to the roots thing, and this kind of it's just like
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
If you play back to the roots, for me, you know. So the things you mentioned, I could completely agree.
Absolutely. I can feel you're still progressing, and I fell in love with the band, with the Flood Inside, which still stays one of my absolute favorites, and I still feel you're doing some great job. It sort of reminds me of I don't know if you're a fan of Russian Circles. I have a similar feeling with you guys. Going to basically to inside of the chemistry within the band, and just concentrating on the most important. That's why I'm wondering about the chemistry within you four. How do you manage over so many years to stick together and actually becoming better all the time?
Yeah, it's maybe one step back and two steps forward. You know, just like you got times too where it's just like very difficult and sometimes painful to create music together. And difficult because everybody's got a completely different opinion or different ideas or different ideals maybe. And so Flood Inside, for example, was very difficult. Trips was not that difficult, but took us very long. And Boundless was just like, we got back in some kind of flow.
Yeah.
Maybe. So this was, for us, some songs indeed were written pretty fast. And just like on Trips, for example, or Flood Inside, there were just like, maybe one song was written within 3 months or something like that. And this time it was sometimes just like 3 days.
Yeah.
So there is up and down in between the chemistry between our four. So this was very just like, okay, let's go, like you said, let's go back to basic, just like the four of us, and look or check where the music will land us to.
So if I could understand it perfectly, then you and Flo are exchanging the ideas by each other, but at the same time you probably come up with some great riff ideas during the evening times on the couch, and then you interact with Flo, building up the idea, and then you include the amazing bass and drums, with all the respect to the guys as well, because every time I listen to you guys, also amazing sounding drums and bass. And then after you sort of finish certain pattern, then you start with a new guitar motive again, right? So just roughly understanding, if I'm correct.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, there is plenty of doing that. Plenty opportunities to do that. So there is just like you said, there is one version. And the other is just like we all are in the rehearsal room and just like play and see what happens. Just with no idea. This happens too.
How do you manage to sort of filter out the good ideas? Because when I spoke about the similar thing with Russian Circles, they tend to record everything in various moods. Sometimes there is a whiskey, sometimes occasional joint, sometimes absolutely sober, and then filtering out the best ones. Are you working the same by jamming, and then filtering out the best?
Yeah, one thing about this band is that every individual has a very individual taste of music. It's got a lot in common, of course, because it wouldn't work otherwise. But everybody has got his own corner. Just like Flo is more the classic guy rock, the stadium rock, just like Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. I'm the prog guy who listens to very weird stuff. Jan is the Deftones, the Perfect Circle, independent guy, and Janosch is more into hip hop, for example, at the moment. And so we got. Each of us has a different taste, and a part will be integrated into the song if every one of us says, okay, this is a cool part. If some one of us says, I don't like it, it won't happen to be a part of the song.
Yeah.
So this is our filter. We are very very different in the specific style, and So everyone has to agree. Okay, this is cool, and then we work on the next part.
Mm-hmm. Understood. When you're talking about your music taste, is it a prog, if I can understand it, is it Dream Theater gymnastics or rather crazy avant-garde modern metal or even gent?
I'm not into gent, really. I understand. I think I understand the music and I understand what people like about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was into Dream Theater, but that's years ago.
Absolutely.
At the moment I'm more into progressive experimental stuff, for example.
Mm-hmm. Could you please mention a few bands, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, there was one band that's pretty unknown, but indeed a big influence to me. They released an album this year, but I knew it for 2 years now.
Okay.
Trinity Experiment. This is a German trio,
mm-hmm.
and they do a lot of cineastic, atmospheric, weird, crossover, instrumental stuff.
Once again, how was Experiment? What was the first word?
Trinity.
Trinity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Experiment. And I think this band describes best at the moment what I like in prog music.
Absolutely. I'll definitely check out these guys. But what is the most interesting on this band? Is it the arrangements, the incorporation of instruments? Let's say I'm personally very much like the bass player from Between the Burnie and Me. It's called Trioscapes. There's a mixture of bass, saxophone and drums. Very interesting, jazzy mixture, proggy. So just wondering about the Trinity Experiment.
Okay, they do what I find very interesting is that two of them, just like the guitarist and the keyboarder, just meet.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they write the songs. Both of them meet and just like are jamming the whole night and recording everything. Then they just like sort out, this is a cool part, this is a bad part, this is okay, and squeeze it together.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the next step there's the bass player who arranges all that stuff, adds his bass onto it, and does some additional electronic stuff, just like soundscapes or just like percussion stuff and something like that. So there is on the one hand is a very intuitive kind of songwriting, and on the other hand the bass player just like is very producer style.
Yeah.
And this mixture is very unique. You can hear it.
Yes.
And the sound is amazing. This is one of the best sounding albums I've got.
I'll definitely check it out. And when you're mentioning such interesting mixture, I can feel that on the new album as well, where you don't have a problem to include bits and pieces of electronic keyboards. Then I could feel within the song The Far Side, then amazing trumpet in a song Like a River. Which is also quite, slightly revolutionary, because I spoke about this with the Dutch band The Gathering, and their main guitarist René Rutten was mentioning he hated trumpet and saxophone, all of these instruments because of the 80s, but it fits amazingly to their music, and Like a River, also hell of a great song.
A lot of people do it because of the 80s, and I think, there was maybe some mistakes in the 80s, but it doesn't mean that the complete instrument is wrong or something like that. So,
absolutely.
So if you place it in the wrong environment, it will work greatly. So it does, I think. I really love Like a River.
I'm also a big fan of the trumpet because I'm half Yugoslavian and I have a close relationship to all of these crazy Balkan trumpet players and trumpet bands.
Okay, cool.
That's insane. But talking about this and the trumpet and the saxophone, I was just wondering, you as a prog metal fan, I just remember of the American band called Yakuza, and I'm wondering if you're a fan as well.
I know them, but I'm not a fan. I'm not that deeply into them.
Okay.
So they're okay, but I'm not a very big fan.
Oh yes. Talking about Like a River, I realized it's sort of a certain part was a very interesting rhythmic approach, because it reminded me of some sort of the traditional folkish, even bits and pieces of Irish music. So if it was just my feeling, or was it slightly on purpose to also include just a small aspect of folk into that folk rhythm?
Yes, and Like a River was kind of an accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the songs where we just like were in the rehearsal room, and I think Flo started to play this melody, and I added my just like triplet delay pattern on this, and then it all came together.
Mm-hmm.
Next part, and then we didn't think about it as we were just like writing and playing it, and just like listen to it after recording, just like, okay, whoa, what is kind of song is this now? Because if we would say, okay, what's yes, someone would play me this song, and I have to say which band, how to say it. If I had to guess which band this was, I never would say it was London Calling.
Mm-hmm.
For me. So just like you're playing and checking where the song leads you to,
Mm-hmm.
and you let it go, you let it flow, and sometimes just like some things like that happen.
Absolutely.
So there was no plan to do a folkish song or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We know a lot of folkish songs, of course.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of music that we listen to,
Mm-hmm.
and so we got that by accident.
Absolutely. I have to also congratulate you on a great video for Out There, which perfectly describes the overall feeling and atmosphere that I have from the new album. I listen daily to a number of albums, and I like certain atmospherical prog albums for rainy mornings going to work, or walking around to get into certain mood. But listening to your album, I have a feeling of massiveness and bombastic, and graduating perfectly, in the moods, and feeling very positive, in a sort of the metal way. But you recorded the video with the perfect surroundings, and I was just wondering if you all agreed on recording this sort of the song in the nature and wildness and mountains.
Yeah, because we wanted to fit the video with the basic idea of the album, just the four of us and just reducing.
Mm-hmm.
And this was for us a good opportunity to do this. Just like go somewhere in the woods and in the what's called it? Not hill, but in the mountains, and just like keep away from all the other influences, just like a lot of internet and stress.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And like just like concentrate on the four of us and what's at this moment surrounding us.
Yes.
That was the idea of
Mm-hmm.
the album and the video.
Yes. Are you usually, when you're trying to relax and get your mind off our crazy, busy, insane world, do you like to walk around the mountains all together, or you personally go by yourself? Because I personally, yes, it's fun to be in the group, but the best way how to clear my mind and sort of my mind is to walk alone in the nature.
Yeah, I think this depends on if you want to think or if you want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
There are sometimes you get something on your mind, and you have to talk to somebody to go through it. But
yes.
Sometimes there is time that there is something ahead of you, and you have to grip it and to think about it, just to have the ability maybe to talk to somebody about
yes.
it in the next step.
Yes.
But you have to go through the whole check it. And so you go alone for the first time.
Yes, yes. So did you manage to, over years, build such a close relationships that actually the three other guys are some of your closest friends that you can share with them and talk with them about the deepest ideas in your mind that you get from walking around in nature and clearing your mind?
Depends on the topic, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. We are friends, of course, and good ones, but for some stuff there are things. I think for everybody there are friends that are more into the personal. How should I say? That are more personally involved than the band, because within the band there's a lot of organization and stuff like that, and it takes a lot of time and energy to discuss, and so there is sometimes the opportunity to talk to someone else, just like to split it and not to do everything with one person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, there are a lot of friends too that just like in personal topics would be asked first.
One more question before we ask you a few questions on the gear would be on the songwriting again. I was just wondering again because when I'm listening to the album, I can feel almost certain songs are written almost as a storyline. It's graduating, it's moving to a certain direction, coming back, evolving. And I'm just wondering, plus there are also very interesting experimental aspects, but just I believe you have absolute freedom of creativity, let's say, in the song In the Clouds, this guitar aspect, like wow, and just feeling, releasing whatever you want. But in general, do you build the songs as a certain storyline in your mind, let's say, and building a certain atmosphere?
Yes, there are songs that are based on the feeling, of course. Just like In the Cloud, not that much into, but The Far Side, for example.
Yes.
Very,
and I also feel Weightless. I believe also Weightless should be a great example of that storyline.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And so you're just like starting with this piano stuff and this moody guitar flowing wave style lick, for example. This was one feeling at a special moment, and so the song, yes, and later on it evolved a little, really cineastic, I think. It wasn't planned like this way, but the trigger was some melancholy and a little sadness for this song, for example. Yeah, and you just like writing this kind of song is just like, for me, it's just like talking. Because when I was young, I didn't do much talking. I was more into playing and expressing my feelings with playing and instrumental stuff. So this was my kind of speech. So if and some friends just like you, if I'm playing something happy, I'm fine, and if I'm playing something sad, that I'm not fine. There's something wrong, something like that. So. Yeah.
When you're saying playing something sad, do you have the similar approach towards sort of the slightly depressive, melancholic feel to play and listen to something which is in the same mood to actually help you in certain way? Because when I speak about, let's say, the music psychologists about it, people say when you're feeling depressive, you should listen to something positive to feel fine. On the other hand, I honestly, when I'm feeling melancholic, slightly depressive, I listen to music like that because it eventually helps me. So how does it work for you?
Yes, I'm like you, I would say, because if I'm sad and listening to happy music, I just like feel I'm in the wrong film.
Yes.
I don't feel understood in this moment. Wait a second. Workshop phone. And if I listen to sad music, when I'm sad, I feel understood.
Perfect. Yes.
And that's why I like the same mood for my feeling and the music.
Glad to hear that. Asking now a few questions on the gear, because this interview will also go into the gear-oriented magazine Musicus. I was just wondering about the guitars that you're currently using, and as you are a very long-term player and you say music always played a huge role in your life since your childhood, so on what brand of guitars do you rely on mainly?
These are all Helleber guitars. This is a German guitar maker. Which is a friend of mine too, but that's not the reason why I play them. The reason why I play them is because they are indeed the best guitars I ever played. And I play a lot of guitars because I've got a guitar workshop where I just like repair guitars and stuff like that. So I know a lot of guitars, and even the old ones, just like the 59 Les Pauls and the 57 Stratocaster and stuff like that. And these guitars fit mostly into what I need. And what I need is just like a huge dynamic range. So if I play, say, just like very hard, I would want just that it sounds very hard, and if I play softly, I want that it sounds very softly and maybe weak. And these are all emotions that I want to be able to recreate with my instrument.
Yes.
And Helleber guitars just like exactly do that.
So you're saying you have a guitar workshop. So what's, let's say, motivating you to go there every day, to be advising also to the other skilled players, or you also love the look on the face of a young player with whom you give a very interesting tip and fix his lovely guitar?
Yes, it's all of them. It's just like this job is very you've got a lot of situations. There is this jazz guy, this experimental jazz guy who needs some special combination of effects, just like chorus and delays, and it just describes you how this delay should sound. And he doesn't just say you, I need a delay. He says how this delay has to sound, and I'm just telling them, okay, try this one, I knew this one, try to combine it with that. I think in this case you will just like receive what you need. Well, there are very specific questions, and there is of course the youngster who just like starts to play music, and then in this case my job is, because they all get a very cheap and poor instrument, to set it up and to have an eye on that he doesn't hurt himself with his instrument, because the cheap ones are really bad sometimes. So you have to keep him motivated.
Okay. But do you also agree, I think, who was that? The Dave Grohl said it once, that it's actually perfect when young players start with the crappy instruments and just love the music, rather than getting the most expensive and professional gear, and actually their interest will fall after sometimes, because they don't have a motivation to grow and invest in the instruments.
Yeah, I would also agree to that, because if an instrument has some mistake or is not that good, it's you have to deal with it. And I think the ability to dealing with a problem when you're playing is very demanding, and it leads you to just like trying to solve a problem within your playing. I think that it means that you will get very flexible, and this is very good when you're just like playing with other people or jamming or improvising.
Yes.
So it keeps you fresh. There are a lot of players, and I know a lot of them. If you give them another instrument, they will completely fail, because the setup is wrong, or the height of the strings is too large, or something like that, too high, and it doesn't work for them in this case. They're good players, but then they don't work. And there are some players you can give them some guitar, it doesn't matter, and they will immediately recognize how the guitar reacts and play with the reaction of the guitar.
Yes, yes. Talking about this, I was also wondering if you can recommend to our readers some of your recent discoveries within the effects.
Oh, effects, okay.
Something that caught your attention lately a lot.
Yeah, I bought an XFX last
Mm-hmm.
year. Before that, I used the TC Electronic GeForce, which was okay,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't that neutral as I thought as I was buying it 15 years ago. And the XFX is very neutral, and this is very important for me because, as I mentioned before, when I play hard, I want to sound it hard, and if I play soft, I want to sound it soft and weak.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have an effect that reproduces the sound just like the best it could.
Yes.
And not lose half of them within processors and converters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So and I love the effects because I was in search for a good delay because once I've listened to the TC 2290. This is the 80s 2 rack what's called 80s rack delay from TC Electronics. You can see it in everyone's rack and stuff like that, and it really sounded good. And because it reproduced this the sound that I was playing just like in just like 100%, and wasn't like just okay the highs are cut or the upper mids are just like a little too present or something like that. It was just like the very sound you produced. It came back just repetition to a little lower the volume. So this was perfect. And I like the reverbs on this one because I love. I listen a lot to Jeff Beck, for example, and he's got a lot of reverbs, just like they sound as you were in space. There is no reverb in space, but they sound like the one you hear in films or something like that.
Okay.
And I was in search of this kind of reverb, and with the XFX I can reduce that. Both of them, delay and reverb, are the most important effects for me.
Absolutely. Talking about the space movies, are you also a fan of Interstellar?
Oh yes.
So is it can we relate the sound of that reverb to the sound of Interstellar, possibly to the soundtrack? Is it that atmosphere?
Would have to compare it. I don't have the reverb in my mind now.
Never
I
mind.
can't compare. I would have to compare it.
Never mind. In general, how do you, let's say, what are your sources to get enough information to buy a new product? I mean, you definitely get into the contact with a lot of gear, but probably slightly older stuff, and you also exchange ideas with other musicians. But what helps you to make a final decision in purchasing something completely new? Are there, let's say, online discussions?
No, not at all. Because there is a lot of shit told in online forums and stuff like that. So we've got a good sign here in Germany, just like called Guitarist. Sometimes I write for them, but I read them too. And just like if there is something I'm interested in, I take the article, read it, and then I know if I should test it. This is the first step, and then the second step is just like ordering it or getting it somewhere else and testing it. Then I know, okay, it's good for me or not.
Absolutely.
So I'm very into doing decisions because of experience. Which is very important for me. Just not about somebody saying, "Hey, this is a good one because this is the one he ever had." You know.
Yeah, understand.
The most answer you will get in the forum or something like that if you ask for a recommendation for something.
Understood.
So there is no what's it called, like make a decision. It's like they read something, they bought it, and then they played it for 2 years or something. And this is the for me this is no basis for a good decision.
Absolutely. Now I would like to kindly ask you to recommend me a song from the Boundless, because I do once in a month I go to the Center for Blind and Visually Handicapped in Prague, and I play them some music for like 2 hours almost. Usually it's ambient instrumental prog, and I played already to them The Waves and Out There, because it was already out on YouTube and people enjoyed it very much. So I'm just wondering about another song. It could be actually from the whole discography of yours, to recommend me another song that you would like my guests to listen to, please.
Okay.
You don't have to.
So what about Matusky Curse Revisited? Do you know it? You know it, I think, right?
From which album, please?
It's from the split EP with Leech.
Once again, please, a bad signal.
Okay, it's from the split EP with together with Leech. It's a Swiss band. And we did the EP with them.
Okay.
2 songs from LDC and 2 songs from Leech. The first song on this one.
Absolutely.
Matusky Curse Revisited. I think they should like it.
Okay. Thank you for that. I haven't checked that album yet because I checked from your limited EPs and demos only the piece DMN STRTN, because it was sent to me with the re-release of Satellite Bay, and I checked that, but haven't checked that one. So thank you for that. And for the one more thing, I would like to kindly ask you. This is your private number, because I would like to kindly ask you for email, because
this is my private number.
Perfect. Because I would like to ask you. Some time ago, I sent through Peter Klapter from head of PR, previously Pirate Smile, sent a bunch of questions when you were releasing the Satellite Bay, and I would like to talk with you a bit more about that, if possible, over email, not to take any more of your time today. If I can ask you, if I can send you these questions over email, would it be possible?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. So
I send them to Dave Sustain at soundranger.de.
Okay, if possible, I'll send you an SMS with my email, and if you could answer with yours, it would be probably more practical. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, and have an amazing tour over Europe. I was almost desperate to see you guys coming to Prague, but just recently I organized with my lovely girlfriend and our family's trip to the mountains. So I'll be enjoying your music only in the headphones.
Okay.
But have an amazing tour. Have an amazing tour, and hope to see you soon another time in Czech Republic.
Okay, so you have to come back to Prague, I see.
Oh, definitely you are. Just out of curiosity, was this the first interview that you did for the promotion of the latest album?
No, it was the third one, I think.
Okay, still a pleasure. All the best to you, and talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Cheers, mate. Bye bye.